I've come to Mudeford Quay, which is like a little seaside town, like really close to where I live. It was like a 5-minute drive. Yeah, it's Easter Sunday though, so I don't really know what to expect in terms of like people being around. But the weather is gorgeous. Yeah, you can see like some people, there's a lot of runners, fishing. And yeah, it's just like a little cute little town with like little beach huts, and it's quite cold today, so yeah, I don't know what that has to do with anything, but let's go take some pics. Let's see what we get. Today we're starting the day shooting with the Sony A7 III and a 28mm f2 lens. I headed straight over to this little fisherman next to some crab traps. I like just getting going straight away with some warm-up photos, otherwise I can end up in a little state of like paralysis and overthinking before every image. It's almost like I need to like remind myself that I'm shooting digital and I don't have like a set amount of photos that I can take. This was the first image of the day, which I think is alright. I like how his yellow jacket contrasts against the blue sky, and the crabbing gear on the right side of the photo adds some context and texture to the image. I decided I was not vibing with the 28mm lens at this point, as I wasn't feeling super comfy yet, like getting really close up to people. So here I just wanted to change my lens to a 85mm f1.8, which would allow me to like hang back a little bit. I basically just shot the exact same image, but with the 85mm lens on, which was interesting to compare, and I definitely liked this one better. The 85mm lens has always been one of my favorite lenses, and I rarely go on a shoot without it. Behind the crab traps you can see there's loads of fishing gear and what looks like junk, but I really loved all the textures of like all the ropes and all the like pallets and everything. I was looking around here trying to find anything that I could use as a frame to kind of make my fisherman image a little bit more interesting. Which is when I found even more crab traps around the back, and I love the way that they created this little V shape around him. I also love that he's holding his fishing rod at an angle here, which kind of echoes that V shape. My only regret with this image is that I wish I got another one with him in focus and the crab traps out of focus, but I still like it. I became a little obsessed with these crab traps at this point. I think just their texture, they're so fun and they're so like iconically coastal. So I was having a little think here about what else I could do with them, and I snapped these two images, alternating the focus. I really like these. There are so many textures going on and some lovely leading lines and complementary shapes. Then this blue house really caught my eye, together with the fishing boats in front. Not sure if they're here for show or actually used, to be honest, but it made for a nice little image. And as I went close to the boats, I noticed they had really bright orange ropes inside, which contrasted really nicely with the blues. I just had to get some detailed shots. and now we continued our little walk around the side of the seafront where I found this adorable little cottage and just loved its little chimney and funky shaped window. There isn't too much going on in this image, so it's not the best. If there was like a little bird on the roof or someone in that window, it probably would have been a little bit more interesting. But the blues and the oranges are really catching my eye today, as you can tell. This window of the cottage was creating a really cool reflection of the boat, and I'm pretty sure there was no one staying here, but I did get some funny looks from people thinking I was just taking photos into someone else's house. I didn't manage to get the shot I wanted, but it's still a little interesting. Maybe actually having someone in the inside of the house would have made it a little bit more interesting anyway. Alas, we continued along towards the beach where I found this cute little swan sitting at the end of the slipway. I like this image. I think the boats in the background make for a little frame for his head, and the shadow creates a little leaning line towards him. Down on the beach there were two adorable dogs running around the fishing boats, and I really wanted to get a couple of shots of them, but they were really quick and I couldn't really get them in the position I wanted. Plus his owner was a little weird about me taking photos of them, which I totally get, and that's my bad for not asking. So instead I grabbed an image of the cottage from this angle, which I like, but I wanted to get a little bit more context when these people walked by, which I thought was quite nice. Again, the slipway creates a lovely leading line towards the people. I knew this guy on his bike would make for something interesting, but I wanted to get behind him so that the boats and sea were in the background and the railings either side could frame him a little bit. This part of the beach is the sailing and water sports school, so all of the sailboats are parked up. I kept looking at this one boat in the water which is slightly tipped over, and you can see the underside of the boat, which is this lovely blue that I've been spotting all day. But I couldn't get it to look right because I kind of felt like it needed to be on its own in order to like see all its details of like the mast and the ropes and everything. So this was kind of the best shot that I managed to get. It's not exactly one I wanted, but it's still nice. Once we got past the sailing schools, there was this huge green park. I really like this area because it has a little bit of everything. It has like the park, the beach, the seafront, and the ocean, obviously, and nice little animals and loads of people. The park still overlooks the beach and sea, And because the tide was out, it created this really funky swirl pattern that really caught my eye. I like that the birds are the focal point of the image, but I think it would be better if it was closer up to the birds and the whole image was kind of just the swell and the birds with nothing else, or like the reflection of the birds in the water would be really pretty. But it would probably mean that I would need a longer focal length lens, and you know, sometimes you just gotta shoot with what you've got. I went over to the corner of the park, but it started to get a lot busier and the clouds started rolling in, hiding the sun. Where the park and the beach meet create this really cool little marshland with reeds, and in the reeds I spotted this piece of blue rubbish which stood out to me. I'm not sure what it is about this image that I like. I suppose it's the contrast in nature with the human waste and the contrasting blue and orange and green. I snapped a couple close-ups of the marshy area because I really like the patterns and texture the low tide was creating. Would have probably been cooler if there was an animal or a bird running around it though. At this point, I could see the overturned boat again, and I apparently had decided that we had unfinished business because I was still trying to shoot it, trying to get the reeds to frame it a little bit, which I actually think turned out quite nicely. When I turned around, I spotted this really interesting arched tree, and I thought it would be cool if somebody would be walking under it or something. So I kind of just sat there and like waited for something to happen. And whilst I was waiting there, I got this image, which is okay, but like I don't think it was worth how long I waited there for. And then at this point, the sun had really gone and I was getting kind of cold and tired. So I headed on over back to the car park to see if anything was happening on the waterfront now that a little bit more people had arrived. And there was loads of people starting to fish, and so I grabbed these couple of pictures, which was quite nice. And these lovely swans were just asking for a photo. I was using the barrier to kind of dirty up the foreground and create some depth. And then found this rusty staircase which really added to my whole orange-blue contrast vibes of the day. In the distance, I spotted a couple people trying to get to the water from the beach and grabbed like buckets of water for their fishing. I don't really know what they do with it because I don't fish, but maybe they put their fish in this bucket, but I don't know. Anyway, this one was getting her water and I loved how the sky looked and like had this rays of sunlight peeking through. And then the green moss all over the rocks was really lovely, so I snapped this as my final image of the day and decided to head back home. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and comment if you like this type of video. I honestly find them so fun and feel like this is making me a better photographer because I'm like critiquing my images and it's getting me out to shoot a lot more. And yeah, I'm loving it. But let me know what you guys think. I'll see you soon. Bye.